Welcome to Cozy Reading Club, the podcast where we read the book and tell you about it so you don't have to. And welcome to, well, actually, this is it, the grand finale of our deep dive into Homer's The Odyssey.
That's right. This is our final exploration, episode 10, focusing on the reckoning and the restoration.
Yeah.
We're covering the really dramatic final books, XIX through the XXIV.
Yeah, the big finish. So last time, just to recap, Odysseus had finally made it back to Ithaca, secretly though, disguised as a beggar.
Right, and he'd had that really moving reunion with his son, Telemachus, and also with the loyal swineherd, Eumaeus.
And they were basically huddled together, starting to figure out how to get revenge on all those suitors who'd taken over the palace. So where does the action pick up? How does this plan start?
Okay, so the first big thing is Odysseus, still in disguise, has to actually navigate his own home. He gets to the palace, still looking like this poor old beggar.
And Telemachus is back from his journey by this point.
Yes, Telemachus returns, and they have this encounter. But Odysseus is still disguised. Think about that tension, Father and son in the same room after 20 years, but they can't just embrace.
It's incredible dramatic irony, isn't it? Telemachus went looking everywhere for his dad, and now he's right there, but he just sees a stranger.
Exactly. Until Athena steps in, briefly lets Odysseus appear as himself, just to Telemachus.
Oh, right. That moment. Can you imagine the flood of relief and recognition?
It's powerful, not just joy, but this shared sense of grievance and purpose. Okay, we need to fix this. And then they really start planning the details.
And keeping the disguise going is absolutely key.
Crucial. Everything depends on the suitors not figuring it out.
So while all this plotting is happening, Odysseus, still as the beggar, actually encounters Penelope. How does that go? It must be so strange for both of them.
It really is. It's dripping with that irony again. She's grieving, asking this beggar if he has any news of her husband, Odysseus.
Asking Odysseus about Odysseus.
Exactly. And he tells her these stories, mixing some truth in with fiction, trying to give her hope without giving himself away. It shows her hope is still alive, but also how careful she has to be.
And then there's that super tense moment with Euryclea, the old nurse.
Ah, yes. The foot washing scene.
Right. She's washing the beggar's feet, just, custom hospitality.
And her hands brush across that scar. The one Odysseus got boar hunting as a boy. A very distinctive scar.
And she knows, instantly.
She does. A lifetime of knowing him, all in that touch. She's shocked, drops his foot in the basin, almost cries out. The whole game is nearly up.
Wow. So close.
But Odysseus reacts incredibly fast, grabs her, whispers fiercely, makes her swear secrecy. It just shows how high the stakes are.
Okay, so secret safe. Barely. This leads us towards Penelope's big move, right? The contest of the bow.
Yes. She's under immense pressure from the suitors to finally choose one of them. So she issues this challenge.
The ultimate test.
Pretty much. She brings out Odysseus's enormous, heavy bow. Only he could ever string it. And she says, "Whoever can string this bow and shoot an arrow clean through 12 axe heads lined up, him I'll marry."
It's a brilliant move, really. Buys time, sets an impossible standard.
And maybe, deep down, it's a test only Odysseus could pass. A flicker of hope.
So the suitors, predictably, they jump at the chance.
Oh, yeah. They're arrogant. They think easy. But one by one, they try and they strain, and they can't even bend the bow enough to get the string on. Not one of them.
It really highlights how inadequate they are compared to Odysseus.
Absolutely. Their weakness, their unworthiness, it's all laid bare. They get pretty frustrated.
And then, amidst all this failure and frustration, the old beggar speaks up.
Right. Odysseus asks if he can have a try.
How does that go down?
Laughter. Scorn. Mockery. Look at this old wreck, thinks he can handle the king's bow. They're furious at the suggestion.
But Telemachus steps in.
He does. With this sort of quiet authority, he tells Eumaeus, give the beggar the bow. A subtle signal, maybe. Supporting his father without revealing anything.
And this is the moment. Everything shifts here.
Totally. Odysseus picks up the bow, handles it like he knows it intimately, which of course he does. He checks it, strings it effortlessly, like it's nothing.
The hall must have gone silent.
You have to imagine. And then, wham! He draws it back, aims, and sends that arrow, whistling perfectly through all 12 axe heads.
Wow. The impossible shot.
Made possible. It's the sign, the turning point. The king is back.
And he doesn't waste any time after that, does he? The disguise comes off.
Immediately. The shot is still echoing, and he throws off the rags. Stands there, revealed. Odysseus, king of Ithaca, ready for the reckoning.
Its suitors must be just stunned, terrified.
Shock, disbelief, then pure terror. The beggar they insulted is their doom.
Okay, so the reckoning. the slaughter. How does it unfold?
Odysseus acts fast. No hesitation. His first arrow finds Antinous, the loudest, most arrogant suitor, hits him right in the throat.
Sends a clear message.
A brutal one. Then all hell breaks loose. Telemachus is instantly by his side, armed. And Eumaeus and Felicius, the loyal cowherd, they join in too, locking the doors.
So it's 4 against. How many suitors?
Over 100. But Odysseus, Telemachus, Eumaeus, and Felicius are fighting with righteous fury and considerable skill. The hall becomes a killing zone. Arrows flying, spears thrusting.
It's described pretty graphically in the text.
Oh, very. It's grim. The suitors try to fight back, grabbing weapons, but they're panicked and disorganized.
And isn't there some divine help too? Athena.
Yes, Athena shows up, often disguised as mentor, an old family friend. She deflects some of the suitors' spears, gives Odysseus and his allies encouragement, maybe even some divine mojo.
Her presence definitely tips the scales.
It reinforces that this is justified, that the gods are on Odysseus' side, the remaining suitors are hunted down, and then there's the unpleasant task of dealing with the disloyal soothing maids.
Right, the ones who sided with the suitors. That part's pretty harsh too.
Yeah, it is. Justice in the epic age wasn't gentle.
Okay, so the fighting's over. The hall is, well, cleaned up, eventually. Justice served. But Odysseus still needs to reunite properly with Penelope. How does that happen after all the violence?
Well, Penelope is understandably very cautious. Even after Telemachus tells her it's really him, she holds back.
After 20 years of waiting and being tricked, you can't blame her.
Not at all. She's been weaving and unweaving that shroud, fending off suitors, holding on to hope. She needs absolute proof. So she tests him.
How? What's the final test?
It's ingenious. She tells the servants to move Odysseus' bed out of their master bedroom so the guests can sleep there.
But the bed can't be moved.
Exactly. And only Odysseus and Penelope know why. He built it himself years ago, carving the bedpost directly from a massive living olive tree still rooted in the ground. The whole room was built around the bed.
So it's physically impossible to move it.
Right. And when Odysseus hears her order, he explodes like, "Woman, what are you saying? Who could move my bed? No one!" And he describes exactly how he built it. The secret of the olive tree.
The secret sign?
That's the proof she needed. That intimate detail only her husband would know. Her caution finally breaks, and they have this incredibly emotional reunion, weeping in each other's arms after 2 decades apart.
That image of the bed, rooted in the earth, is such a powerful symbol of their marriage and his connection to home.
It really is. Stability, endurance.
So they're reunited. What about the rest of Ithaca? The families of all those dead suitors must be pretty upset.
Oh, absolutely. There's a real danger of civil war breaking out. The families gather, angry, wanting revenge.
Another battle.
It almost comes to that. But Athena steps in again, this time more overtly. She basically commands everyone to stop, to accept Odysseus' return, and make peace. She establishes order.
So divine intervention prevents further bloodshed.
Yes. It allows Ithaca to finally find peace, with Odysseus restored to his rightful place as king, husband, and father. The long journey is well and truly over.
What an ending. From disguise and plotting to bloody battle, and finally, that deeply personal reunion and the restoration of peace.
It covers so much ground, emotionally and thematically. Justice, loyalty, homecoming, endurance. It's all there.
Well, that epic conclusion brings us to the end, not just of this deep dive, but of our entire journey through the Odyssey here on Cozy Reading Club.
It's been quite the adventure, hasn't it? Going through this foundational epic together. Really rewarding.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone, for this incredible story. We hope you enjoyed the ride. Until our next book.
Farewell from the Cozy Reading Club. This was Cozy Reading Club, the podcast where we read the book and tell you about it so you don't have to. If you like this series, we invite you to take a look at other series in our podcast and leave a nice review on the platform you are listening this on.